In this video, I'm going to reveal to you my top 5 books in teaching you how to invest and build wealth. I'll also be outlining if they're suited to more beginner investors or more advanced investors. And if you couldn't be bothered reading them, I'm going to give you my key takeaways from each of these books. Let's get into it. And at number 5 is a book that might not be on many people's lists. It's a book called Buffettology by Mary Buffett and David Clark. Now, there might be a little bit of controversy around this book. This book was not written by the great Warren Buffett, but was written by his former daughter-in-law, Mary Buffett, who was married to Warren's son, Peter, and she wrote this book after she split up with him. So maybe she was revealing family secrets, maybe not, I don't really know, but I do know I've read a lot of investing books, and this book is great for beginners. It really sets the foundation around core principles that you need to know for investing. It introduces 2 key investing concepts. The first is how you actually identify a good business to invest in. Then once you've identified that business, the second is that it's only a good investment if the price is right. It introduces key concepts such as ROE or return on equity. And to explain what this is, say a business has just started up and it's raised $100 from investors to run its business. The business then takes this $100 and it goes out and it buys inventory to sell to customers, or it might hire programmers to write a software or write an app to be able to sell. And then at the end of the year, this business should make a profit. And that profit divided by the initial $100 investment is called the return on equity. And can be one metric you use in evaluating a business. In the book, Mary says that any return on equity or return on capital that is 15% or higher is a good return. So good book, definitely would recommend this for beginner investors. Number 4, which I think deserves a place on everyone's bookshelf, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. In this book, Robert describes how he grew up and that the advice that his father would give him was from a poor man's mindset. He would then compare that to the advice his friend's father, who was an entrepreneur, would give him, which was from a rich man's mindset. One of my key takeaways from the book was a diagram, which I'll show you right here. And what it's described as you go through life, if you purely rely on your income and wages to build wealth, then you're always going to run into this ceiling, because if you need more money or if you want to grow that, you then have to wait for a pay rise or negotiate a pay rise or change jobs. What Robert talks about is investing in assets that pay you a passive income and then using this passive income to fund your lifestyle. It's essentially trying to break out of this sort of employee mindset and into an entrepreneur mindset or an investing mindset. There's about 40 million copies of this sold, so definitely worth a read, and I would say definitely targeted at beginner investors. Number 3, and I don't have a physical copy of this, only electronic copy, is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. The book opens by telling the story of a janitor called Ronald Reed, who died in 2014 with $8 million of assets unbeknown to his family. What he did was regularly invest in the stock market and let the magic of compound returns do all the work. The book discusses how your behavior with money, your mental mindset, is often more important than your level of intelligence. Some of the key behaviors discussed in the book is being satisfied with what you have, living a frugal lifestyle. Do you really need to drive a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? Do you really need the latest designer clothes? Or a cheaper alternative sufficient? And then you can use that excess money to invest in assets that pay you passive income.
It's a very interesting phenomenon that you can hand somebody a $2 million bonus and they're fine until they find out that the person next to them got $2.1 million, and then they're sick for the next year.
Another message is this idea that crazy is in the eye of the beholder. We all grow up in different families with different value systems that have different attitudes towards money. There's an example given in the book where the average American family would not be able to come up with $400 in the case of an emergency. However, the lowest American income families also spend around $400 a year on lottery tickets. And this is 4 times higher than more wealthy families. Different people have different perspectives on things. The best thing you can do is try and step outside yourself and realize your own biases and your own attitudes towards money. Once you have a better understanding of yourself, this will make you more confident and make you better able to adjust or correct for biases when investing and building wealth. This book is a fairly easy read and is targeted anywhere from beginner investors all the way up to advanced investors. Number 2 is probably targeted at more intermediary investors, but doesn't actually talk about investing itself. It's called Principles by Ray Dalio. and he was the founder of one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, Bridgewater Associates. This book really focuses on process, how you get as close as you can to the best outcome possible with each decision that you make. This could be an investing decision or a personal decision. Take a listen to this quick snippet from this TED Talk. I'll leave the link to the full video down below.
I wanted to find the smartest people who would disagree with me to try to understand their perspective or to have them stress test my perspective. I wanted to make an idea meritocracy. In other words, not an autocracy in which I would lead and others would follow, and not a democracy in which everybody's points of view were equally valued, but I wanted to have an idea meritocracy in which the best ideas would win out.
The book talks about being radically open-minded, trying to understand your own biases and blind spots, and that respectful debate should be encouraged because you might learn something that you didn't know before. The book also talks about that it's okay to make mistakes, but what's not okay is not learning from those mistakes. You should document your decision-making process. You can then refine this over time, and as a result, hopefully make better decisions and better investment decisions. And probably my most favorite lesson, go to the pain. That hard thing that you know you should do, but you're probably not doing because it's difficult. That promotion that you should ask for but won't. That difficult conversation that you're putting off because it will feel a bit awkward. Go to the pain. You will learn from this, you'll grow from this, and you'll become a better person from this. And as a result, hopefully become a better investor. And number one for the more intermediate to advanced investor is Inside the Investments of Warren Buffett by Yeffy Liu. And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that name quite correctly. Yeffy goes back in time and looks at around 20 of the most successful of Warren Buffett's investments through the years to try and see what Warren was seeing at that time and get a bit of an insight into his process. Some of the companies included in the book are American Express, See's Candy, Geico, and Coca-Cola. The book looks at extracts of the financial statements of these companies and other metrics to determine how Warren Buffett might have valued these companies. Really great book. If you're already familiar with reading financial statements and other investing terminology, then this book is for you. Some other noteworthy mentions are The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Benjamin Graham is considered the godfather of value investing and was Warren Buffett's former boss and teacher. Terminology is quite heavy in here, but that's a good one. Then a little bit more on the dramatic side is the Snowball, Warren Buffett story. This talks through his life and a little bit about his investments, but it's a really good read. And the last one I would recommend is Shoe Dog, which is the story around the founders of Nike and how they made that company into what it was. So that's a really good read as well. If there are any books that didn't make my list, which you feel are great investment books, please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear about them. Now, if you enjoyed this video, you got something out of it, I'll be grateful if you could hit that like button. It would help push this video to other viewers. And if you want to come on this YouTube journey with me, please consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.